Green on your last 11. Well done, Scotty. Well done. We are here live, back in action here for the Thursday. What is today? September 5th, 2024. Gonna check out these. ISM number comes out at 9. We had the unemployment and the jobless claim came out at 227. Better than last time. Better than forecast. Pretty much at forecast. Better than consensus. So, jobless numbers, good. Still rolling towards that overnight low. Microsoft seems like it's ticking higher in the pre-market session right quick. And NVIDIA ticking downside a bit. So I'm going to try to find me some music. We are now open. I hate this random Norton antivirus that pops into my computer every once in a while. In order to, you know what, this is on YouTube, so let this thing play out a little. Actually, Top Step has been having some issues, so I kind of want to have Top Step TV in the background just so I could hear if they have any fixes. It's also Top Step TV's 1-year anniversary, so maybe they'll give away something. We are open pretty much right here, middle of the overnight range, dead center of the overnight range. Yesterday, we tried to make new lows, really didn't make any aggressive moves to the downside. We will see if we can flush through this overnight low and try and push lower. I don't have that conviction of a very much further to the downside, but it could happen, right? Because markets do whatever they want, right? This is the okay. The below the 839 level, which is kind of previous day lows, we do have the 700 level like we talked about yesterday. Between there, from 39. This is a really solid consolidation, right? You can see over the last few days, this is a 30-minute chart. Impulse move down, make a base out at the bottom. A lot of times what we're looking for, my old strategy, is a 23.6 breakout mean reversion back to the 61.8. So if we are looking for something like that, a break of basically the overnight highs, it would be that 23.6 on the fib, rotate us back up. What is that? 19,017, 19,000. Yeah, so basically over the overnight high leads to that break of that 23.6, but on that longer term swing, that's usually more than a couple days. Could be today, you never know. And then if you get that break to the downside, could that be that false impulse move to get you to rotate back the other direction? So that's kind of what we look for in that longer term chart. I will eyeball that, see if that strategy plays out today. It would be nice if we can get that sweep of the overnight lows. If we can get that sweep off the overnight lows, then you could be doing real good moves to the upside if it fails. Let me just post this over in the chat. If you're interested in my education at all, my weekly write-ups, anything that I have to say about coffee, go over to that site. It's pinned to the top of the YouTube. I have posted it in the Twitch. And now it's always in our alerts here in the Tradecaster lobby. Right here at VWAP right now, nothing doing for me. NVIDIA's pushing upside. Microsoft's pushing upside. NVIDIA overnight didn't do much more. I mean, we did sweep down to yesterday's low, but then found a bid. So we are kind of maybe watching to see if this upside move continues. Does it continue off that break? This is that 730 number that Scott was able to capture. This is the jobless high, 41. So see if that plays any role. You got lucky if you got in at 726. I mean, you got in at the very bottom. You really played the sweep of the previous day low. You were in. If maybe you were at break even, you know. God damn. Beautiful. Beautiful capture. That was like a perfect play on that. Realistically, when it comes to that play, if you have a tight risk and you get whipped out, you get whipped out. Otherwise, like there are, there's already a reason to get into it. So if you have a managed risk, I mean, you're gonna get slipped on that move if it does go downside, but as long as it's not a wildly wide stop to begin with, you may be able to capture just like, your slippage might be not so bad. That's why you got to pay attention to the news. I mean, it's good that it played out, but that's why I always put it in my I put in my weekly write-up just so you can have that. So make sure you look at that weekly write-up every week and just kind of notate in your mind, oh, there's news every single day this week. I should probably be aware of when they're coming out, when they're not coming out, all that fun stuff. No, it's fine. I mean, the setups are still going to work. Like yesterday, for me, I was a little disappointed because yesterday I really should have been in the money quite a bit because I called this setup out right here. I talked about this wedge pattern forming here yesterday. I talked about how at 9 o'clock it'll probably be the time for it. And I pulled my order just before 9 because I didn't want to get triggered in before 9. If I would have left it there, that's a month maker right there on that short. So I just, unfortunately, and then I got in it here on the retest breakdown and I got slipped for $150. So $170 actually. So it was weird because I was at even. So that's kind of what news does to you. I mean, the setup looked great, just didn't take it. So you just happen to be having a setup forming around a time that you want to be executing, which is great. We are going to approach the overnight highs, it looks like. There was a late spike into that level that failed at the close yesterday. So let's watch for that area to be reactive again. Like I said, I didn't even draw this. I think this was the overnight high from the previous day as well. So we have not broken out of that previous day high yet. So the breakout this time could be good. Like I was talking about with that 23-6 strategy that we play. If we get a breakout retest of this, I'll play it as a combination of the two strategies. I could even go long through our overnight high, trail it tight, and then play our normal strategy. Because if we're going to break out, I want to be a part of it. Microsoft is approaching 412, which could act as resistance for a little bit before moving on up. NVIDIA also approaching 108. So 108 could act as resistance, but it is piercing right through it. So if Microsoft and NVIDIA both push through that level of resistance, then I'm not going to play the failed break on the overnight high. I'm going to look for the break, maybe break, retest, rotate higher. Microsoft pushed right up to the top end of that channel, that box, right? This is that box that we play with week in and week out, every week, this year. This is a reactive zone. NVIDIA right here. This is NVIDIA. NVIDIA looking at that rejection point at 108. Watch for 108 to reject. If not, we're going to just continue to rally on up. But you can see actually right here, look, Microsoft reacting to that box. Went straight up until it got there. Let's see if we can wick off this overnight high, and I can get maybe my first chance at it right off the jump. I'm gonna try it if it goes, and then maybe overnight high. Nvidia, whatever you call it, S&Ps will rotate. Nvidia straight through it. Microsoft still not like a heavy rejection. If I wasn't down, I would go on with 2 contracts, but since we are in a little slight drawdown, I'm going to stop sell through here. That'll be up to 20, then straight down would be nice. Clean breakout and everything. This looks like the area where we would reject. What do I have overhead in my longer term chart? What in the world? Oh, that's the break of the 23.6. So if we do get to be there, 19.114 would be the next area of interest. So previous day highs. All right, I'm in. I'm risking to the overnight high. If it wicks me out again, it wicks me out again, and I'm down. First loser of the day. There it is. First loser of the day there. Even though it was a perfect sell through it. Wonderful. 19,000 acting super strong. Price is acting correct, so maybe I'll go below 19,000 and then risk to the overnight high. What was that entry point? So the setup worked out there. I just didn't let it breathe. Order filled. 250 on that. We're in short. Let's see if it'll rotate down from here. I'm letting it go. Are you kidding me with this? Get down. All right, 2 losses, and I'm flattened all right now. We're going to wait. Craziness. What is that number that comes out now? Global PMI. All right, we'll wait for that. It's going to roll over, and then I'm going to be quite disappointed. Unreal. Because I was short from the overnight high, and somehow that one snapped me out. Stop should have been over 20 at 19,000 there. Alrighty. Everything lined up. I think it's still a good short from here. I just don't have any real bullets left in the gun for it. I want to let this number come out. See if that number will play. Frustrating. The times I don't click in with that kind of wick out, it rotates down hard real fast, and then the times I click in, it whips me out, and we're stopped out, and then it'll now rotate down the other direction. Keep going down. All good. Just part of the game, right? Nvidia held that 108 level and is now rotating back up, which is possibly what's pushing this there. Then Microsoft sold off really hard from that 412, which gave me the indication that this was going to continue to sell a bit, but you know, to each their own on this. I will move to get to even kind of quick if I do get into a trade. Got 2 minutes till a number. So Scott, I know you're not trading it, but this number comes out at 8:45, which would have been another reason for this to kind of rotate back the other way prior to that number. If you did trade that level and you had your stop appropriately set over the 20, you're still safe and probably in the money a little bit. It is kind of just dancing around here. Nvidia is starting to curl up. Microsoft is starting to curl up. So maybe wait for that number to come out before you actually execute on this. Still holding below 19,000, which is good for the setup. Microsoft still pulling back a little bit. This number coming out in 1 minute does lead to whippage, so just be careful with the whipping. Take your whippings. This is true. Bad number, good reaction. Stop selling below that candle. I like the idea, Scott. I usually don't like to do it that way because a lot of times it comes right to the overnight high, wicks it, and runs away from it. I usually like to make it a clean move the other direction. That's the only reason I usually set it below the level. That's my thought on why I do it. But I understand the thought process on what you're seeing as well at the moment. S&P's rejected overnight highs. NQ is trying to accept over overnight highs. I think that number was negative. Nvidia is pushing up a little bit. Microsoft's holding. This is still indicative of our short setup. So right there, you would have been on the number. You would have gotten triggered in there. Now it's going to dance, but let's see if it fails 19,000. Should fail it hard. The reason I don't enter on the number is kind of this also. Usually I've just seen the behaviors of it where it gets me in, it tickles me in, and then it smacks up to the upside. So right now I'm looking for a failure of this initial break of that number candle. So if that the news candle gets canceled and then rotates the other direction, also would consider it being holding below 19,000, failing the overnight high. I know it looks like it's in the wicks, but it's still an area where I'm interested for it to give a nice hard snap to the downside. I know I don't have much wiggle room. I have $100 before I get daily locked out, but this is just going to be, this is the setup that I have to take. If it doesn't go, or if it goes hard here, then that's the reason to take it, right?
Order filled. Order filled.
So that's that. We're down. Max loss today. Good reason to not be trading more. We're going to watch to see what happens for this rest of this session. 9 o'clock is another number. Probably just wait for this 9 o'clock number to come out, even though this is going to go now, probably. This would be interesting to see. If you are still short, still safe. I just didn't have enough wiggle room there. Probably should have switched to micros. Don't have any combines. I burnt them yesterday because I went on tilt afterwards. So we are just going to watch the screens. Frustrating. Gotta scale down. That's my problem here at this point. Just got to probably go down to a couple micros and then work that to the short side. Allow it to work out on its own because this is a perfect setup for that to even rotate all the way to sweep out that number from this morning. So if you are still considering this, it is still a valid setup here. You're not. This is actually really good. And that's my life right now. So we're just gonna mark it up as a loss. Losing week so far. You actually had a pretty decent size get filled there on the time and sales at 83s on the bid. They got snapped. So looks like maybe we're catching some buyers right there. Microsoft did pull into 410 and Nvidia pulled into 108 and then now is bidding a little bit from there. So cautious. Because I'm not really even looking for a whole big move here, right? It would be nice to get this thing to be flushed, but to catch that part of it, 19,000 down to basically 19,006, that's 30 something points right there. That's plenty to catch, right? And even then, I still think we're still holding below this overnight high. I think that there is a further downside move. There is a rotation to VWAP and probably down to try and sweep out those overnight lows. But we don't have any trades left to take. Locked myself out very quickly today. I'll get myself a combine so we can do that. 46. It's still heavy. Yeah. Nvidia just sold, Microsoft selling. I think it goes downside. I think you got all the information you need to say that this is going to fail. You look at all these red sell orders. Number comes out at 8 minutes. Bluey. Stuck in my head now. I can hear it in the other room. Wait for that 9 o'clock number to come out before you make your decisions. All right. Real great day so far. Great week. Very nice. Just me. Let's see what happens at 9. I'm going to throw a combine out there. Let's see what happens. I'm going to set this to 2 contracts, and I'm going to work 2 off of that. These are really good short indicators here for me, and realistically, other days this just immediately melts off. Today, not the case. It is what it is. Like I said, once I have to take those shots because when they do come out, they usually roll over pretty nicely. So one good trade will make up the last 2 days. However, just need to actually get one of the moves that I've been talking about. 854, 855. S&P is still holding below overnight highs. NQ is holding above. So they're slightly diverged. NVIDIA is making like a bull flag type pattern, basing out over the 107.71 mark there. You can see NVIDIA holding above this, still showing bullishness to it. Could rotate up to yesterday's highs, which is 109.99, which is 110-ish. Microsoft, I talked about how it would run right into 412 and then sell off, which is exactly where we got here. Is why I kind of took that sell for that opportunity. Stops a little too tight for the market conditions. Probably have to move into micros and get this thing to breathe a little bit more for the same kind of risk. Just because the trade ideas aren't incorrect, they're just invalidated because of my tight stop. Because usually that tight stop has worked. It doesn't get me in and out as quickly. I'm able to get out and trail. I'm okay with taking the paper cuts, but usually I'm able to not take full losers right off the jump. And even here, I guess I just timed it a little bit poorly where I got in and it just pulled back a little bit, stopped me out, and then ran down, which it never would have stopped me out if I had enough buffer, right? Because that was a nice little push to the downside from that point. So overall, just kind of analyzing what I am doing and talking it out loud. I'm going to try and use the hotkeys with the combine, get more used to it. 4 more minutes till the number comes out. Previous number came out slightly, I'd call this worse, right? This is just showing inflationary numbers. Anything over 50 is inflationary for PMIs. This is higher than last time, 54.6 as opposed to 54.3, 55.7 as opposed to 55. Everything was anticipating a lower print. If your services PMI comes out over 51.4, I would anticipate this to possibly sell off more. But that's just my thoughts. Obviously, could be incorrect. S&P is still holding below that overnight high. I'm going to trade this combine for the whole session, no matter what. We'll see what happens. All the new combines, all the new resets, anything that you get created does not have a daily loss limit. So you need to set your own to make sure you don't go blowing up. My daily routine is a little bit off now that school started. I get back to the computer a little bit later than I normally would like to. Just got to need to make some adjustments, get myself a little bit better. Maybe I'll get up earlier, get on the charts, do some stuff before bringing him to school, then come back to the charts and be ready to go for the stream. So I will let you know if I do change anything up a little bit. About a minute and a half or so, a minute and change till that number comes out. We'll see where we end up. I mean, like I said, S&P's is still holding that overnight high, so potentially looking to maybe give a snap and then a failure. Potentially, if not, if the number comes out good, watch it for that run. Nvidia is trying to crack high day again, and Microsoft's curling back to 412. I think there's a rejection from 412 if this number comes out as bad or worse than anticipated, right? This could be that trap move. The trap move that I talk about is a break of like a key structure level, pushing up above that key structure, right? And then pushing through a key psychological level, which is 19,000 and also overnight highs. So if you watch that 19,000 breakdown for this, trapping of longs, having people set their short stops down below that overnight high, and then that acceptance, if that number comes out bad, I would anticipate that to be the case. Right, you sell this like that through there because of this being a trap of longs, especially with the S&Ps holding below here. There's the number. I don't know what it came out as, but initial move is up. Came out at 51.5. Consensus was 51.1, so also not as good as expected. I'd say that's two negative numbers as far as inflation is concerned. But if they're going to say that that's good, then market does what market wants. And look at that big wick up into 55.47 on the S&Ps. If it does not break that, then watch for that rotation back down on the S&Ps. And then hopefully dragging the NVIDIA and Q down with it. NVIDIA is going upside a little bit. Microsoft running into 412 as resistance right now. So let's see what happens with this. Yep, there it goes. So long side pushing up. I want to draw out this opening range here. Okay, 115 getting tagged in Microsoft, running into 412 and selling a little bit. NVIDIA still going upside. I think NVIDIA has up to 110 for a target. Yesterday's high, which is not 110, but it's 109.99. So ran right into 110, and that was that. So if NVIDIA runs up and through 110, then we have more highs to come in. If not, if it sells from 110, then you're good. That break of that 23.6 number that I was talking about really kind of worked out. Did it get a retest? This is that 23.6. This red zone is that 23.6, right? We consolidated right into it. You broke out of it. Now you're looking to rotate all the way up to that 61.8. Retracement of that pullback, which was, I said, 19,331, which is up here. So that's where that strategy works. Next level overhead, 111, 19,117, which is right here. Previous day highs. NVIDIA now curling a little bit. Microsoft still pushing into that zone, into that box. NVIDIA now selling a little bit. See what happens at the previous day highs. I think previous day highs would like to break. It seems like it wants to trend now that we've gotten some information. Tomorrow's non-farm is really kind of what they're positioning for. After that revision that they got last month, I don't know what they're looking to see out of this non-farm number. I'm going to sell this for the combine purposes. There we go. Break even. Up 450 on that.
Order filled.
Take my 224 off on that trade there. Just saw that impulse move down coming from that candle breakout and then trailed it tight. So that was a really quick, short idea there. I kind of did talk about this 19,000 break retest trade and taking the long side of it after the fact. Obviously, I locked myself out here and didn't allow my gut to tell me the right trade. So kind of stubbornly stuck with that setup, even though this is an appropriate setup for that short, even to catch this little piece of it, right? This is normally, I'm trying to catch from that overnight high 10, 20, 30 ticks, points. And then if I can get that many points out of it, if I'm trailing tight on it, I'm usually able to have a successful day on that trade right there. That's enough move to catch plenty of money from that. 70% long on the tilt. Just ticked down a little bit. Let's see if it wicks through the previous day high and see if we get any opportunity up there. Microsoft rejecting 412 again. So maybe we can get a rejection here. S&P's holding 55.47, which is a key level for that. 70% on the tilt. Microsoft looking to break through now to the high side. Let's see if it holds or rejects. Looks like it's rejecting a little bit that level. I'll sell through this.
Order filled.
Through that high there. Break even.
Order filled.
So we are up 240. Not looking to go crazy on that. Could still sell off. I am working 2 contracts at a time on this combine, and I'm being very scalpy with it. Trying to just go feel on a lot of this right now. Microsoft pulled down through that zone and now is selling from there. So we might get like a little bit more of one more push to the upside. If you fail to make a new high over that previous day high, over 100, any sells through 100 seems to make some sense, right? So let's see if this will crack the low here first. If not, if we get back up to this like equal high here at 19,110, that would be a nice level for some sellers to step in again, right? You can see that previous day high there. Do we want to accept back above it? Do we want to continue on to the upside through that level back up to 19.2 or not? If you see it make an equal high and you don't make another wick of that 120 level and shorts through 100 or even through this level that's right here, makes sense. Right? Same sort of rising wedge type pattern. If it does come into play here, I mean, you're looking at it right there. If something like that breaks, usually it breaks whippy, breaks quickly, and then you're able to sell it and get it even quick, right? Below 100. Never made that even high. Microsoft does have a little bit of an uptick there, still holding below that 412 level. See if this closes below here. I'm going to be patient on that. Don't wick in. There's the break. You saw the price move quickly. You got some bearish sentiment coming in with the red on the time and sales. Bigger size that got filled right there. I'll take that short. I'm going to risk a little bit more on that. See if I can get that through the low. If it gets through that low, I'm going to go to even and then see if I can trail it. I actually wanted to take it up there, so I didn't really quite get the fill that I wanted because I would have liked to have been in this range before. I want to not take a bigger loss than that. Looking for this, I wanted to get in up here, not down here. But if we can get through that low, then it should continue on to the downside based on market structures. That 80 level is very strong. If we get, like I said, if we get through this low here, I'll get to even because I don't trust it to not. There we go, through that low. Now we're at even. I'm actually going to get to that wick. If it stops me out, it's cool. I don't really trust it now because I wanted to be in higher. Then I would have been able to been even and trailed out to this low, but that's fine with me. So that was a good breakdown of this level. I'm going to kind of just talk through more of my aggressive moves with this combine on how I trade it. Let's do, I got to actually set the target, liquidate, and block, save. There's the break. Beautiful move. Like I said, I wasn't going to trust it totally there with the entry location. I wanted to be in that range there. I didn't quite get it. I talked about how if we do not make a new high over this wick, you should get a failure of this little wedge and pull back from that previous day high. We still don't want to accept back over yesterday's high. And Microsoft and NVIDIA both turned over at that point. So this is the trade right here, right? You see that real good failure of the overnight high. Previous day high. We should rotate into overnight highs. S&Ps did, right? S&Ps rotated down, but they never made it to yesterday's high. We failed at previous. See if we get a pullback to 80s. If we pull back to 80s, there's a good chance that does want to sell from there. A little quick on that trail only because my entry location was so tight. It was down. For some reason, I got slipped a little there. I didn't have my order in here. I would have liked to have my order in at 80, just below 80, and then rotate down through that. That's a perfect breakdown there. That's exactly what you want to see out of a move. And then for even a failed break of a previous day high for a rotation down the other direction, these are the types of moves where you can catch bigger parts of the move, right? So really what I want to do on these types of trades, when I do take more than one contract, I like to take the break of the structure, then at 1-to-1 take one off, and then let that last one just ride out. That's the best part of taking more than one contract. When you take only one contract, you have to kind of really manage the position according to how you feel, right? But Microsoft's still curling to the downside. Could push all the way down to 409.86. I wouldn't expect S&Ps or NQ to bounce before Microsoft gets back to that 409.86 level for 10 even maybe. So that might be the break retest of the overnight high. Then we rotate back that direction with NVIDIA curling back up a little bit from 108. 108 is that key level for NVIDIA. So I'll take a buy back to 80 probably. I would like the Microsoft to be down a little lower though. I'm going to wait till Microsoft gets a little lower. But this could still rotate from here. Still selling from this level here, right? You can see that breakout. Now we're failing that breakout, rotating back down, looking to hunt that 19,020, 19,000 even level. If S&Ps continues to rotate to the downside, then NQ will follow back through the overnight lows, overnight highs. Nvidia is still selling some. I want Microsoft. You can see Microsoft over here. I want Microsoft to bounce off that 409, 86, 410 area. And then Nvidia also has 107.71 that has been acting as support. So if we could catch a little bit of like a wick off bottom and a bounce, then we could start to see if we could rotate the NQ off of the overnight high back the other direction, right? This would be another break retest of that key structure level of 19,000 even, right? And then if it breaks 19,000 and continues to fall, then you have that sell side pressure that comes into play. But we did have that wick here. There is interest at this level quite a bit. Key structure zone there, you can see right here. %78 short. If we can get into that overnight high with a heavy short on the tilt, I'm gonna try and fade that for a quick bounce, right? Overnight high, bounce play from here. Really, like I could try that buy limit orders from that level. I think 19,016. Microsoft is front running the 410 level a little bit. One more leg down, we'll do it. 76% short still on the NASDAQ, 53% on the S&Ps. Nvidia bouncing from 108. Microsoft still trying to push down a little bit lower. Now gave a little bit of a bounce, 410.69. The lowest it got was 410.30. Still want to see Microsoft down a little bit lower, although that was a good location for it to bounce at 410.26 based on some structure from earlier in the day. So I would like to see this kind of catch a little bit. Even if you extended this line all the way through to earlier, there you could find that break even more confirmed. $33s, 21s. What time was that number? 9 o'clock. So this was that number spike. The spike of those numbers here. That was that 9 o'clock number. We have now canceled that out, right? So you came up through here, broke out with that number, even though that number came out a little bit negative in my eyes, right? Inflationary. You are pulling back, trying to trap some shorts through the low of that. If you recancel that, you may start to get some buying back in. Microsoft still, dancing around with the 410 level. Nvidia still catching a little bit of a bid. I would like to see it pull back a little bit more. Maybe one more pullback before it decides to buy. Maybe some high volume selling candle here into the overnight high. But this did make sense right here at that, with all those wicks above. The buyer stepping back up at 20, 28, 25. Microsoft selling again, pushing right into 409, 410, 410.18 currently, should sweep 409.86 right there. Look at that. Microsoft gave you that next heavy leg down, trying to make this a better timed trade, right? I'm looking for that. I'm looking for Nvidia also to try and sweep down a little bit lower. Microsoft still dancing with 410, not giving me a buy signal quite yet. It does look like a buy signal with a little bit of a wick onto the bottom there. Basically, the low was 410.15. If this holds this news candle, then potentially we can start to rotate back up, like I said, to 80s. I was interested in maybe selling the 80s, but I would like to catch a bounce from the overnight high up to that point first. This does seem like it wants to get up into that area, then sell off again. So if you do get that next leg to the downside, it would be interesting to see. I think it's going to kind of catch a little bit of a bid here. 50-50 on the tilt. A little bit away from an area that I'd be interested in scalp-wise. Trying to see if there's any size on the order flow that I see. Nothing crazy big overhead below. No iceberg orders that I can see. 55 at 61. 59. There's 55 contracts sitting on the bid at 59. There's that 80. So here's the confluence that you look for that long, right? I just didn't like the area we got to. I wanted to get deeper into this while Microsoft and NVIDIA started to curl. But you can see if you check out, I think 80 sweep gives you a nice short opportunity. This is what I was talking about. Microsoft bounced with that 410 area, right? I wanted to get a little bit deeper, but you can see that this area with the wicks here makes sense for Microsoft to kind of find some liquidity there to rotate back up. NVIDIA, I have NVIDIA here. NVIDIA's been sitting on top of 107, 108. We got to 108. I probably could have started to play the long once NVIDIA rejected the 108 level and started to creep back up. Microsoft was curling down, so that did hold me back a little bit. That was that down into that 25s. So now we're sweeping back up over that news number, approaching previous day highs. I don't know if that's going to lead to a further breakout. And if it does, NASDAQ has to... next area is, like I said, 117, which is that area there. 122, then over that would be... Let me get my 30-minute chart up. That would actually lead to a squeeze over 150. Probably could squeeze us all the way back up to 390, 350. That could start this squeeze up, and that's that 61.8 strategy working out pretty nicely on that push up right there. You can see, look at that nice little break of the 23.6. Are we going to break this high here again? That previous day high. I mean, previous day high where we're at right now. If you do and you start to squeeze it up, you can rotate through these two structure levels. That next interesting level is that 398 gold zone, which is very close to that 61.8 retracement that I used to play a long while ago when I first started trading. Well, this combine's up 333. Gonna see if I could get the fade one more time on this. Let's see what Microsoft does. Back into that 412 pretty quickly. I feel like this next leg goes upside. Short 120 with a 5-point stop. $5 points is tight in the NASDAQ. I want to see what happens with Microsoft first, because we did just create a higher low and a new higher high. If Microsoft breaches back over 412.60, I don't want to be short. this is a second break of a previous day high, and now it's going to give you that more intense pressure to the high side. This is where a breakout happens. You kind of, like I said, if Microsoft is going to break through and NVIDIA is going to keep breaking through highs, this is where this is going to go, right? You definitely can't go limited in at 20 with a 5-point stop on a breakout, because that's, even if this is going to be a failed breakout and work in my favor and come back and accept below previous day highs, it could go 30, 40 points before it does that as a failed breakout in the NQs. If you're going to do that kind of trade, you're going to have to do it on the S&Ps. The S&Ps respects levels way more. You're not going to get as much breach of the zone before a failure. This to me does feel like a true break. I say 120s. If you breach 150s, I'm talking like 300 for the day. You could probably get back to 300. If I can get a retest of this 100, maybe I can get in on this for the long side. NVIDIA's fading the high. Never made it to 110 yet. I think it still has room to 110. Here's the push over 140. Really nice move. Like I said, if you're going to get another test of this high in an uptrend, you're likely to break it this time. You know, I don't play breakouts well. I don't trade them very well because I find them to fail a lot of the times. And especially with tight stops, for me, it's hard to go. But with the momentum that we currently have with Microsoft and NVIDIA still trying to make new highs on the day, S&P still has yet to get to previous day highs. So it has room to catch up, which does allow the NQ to have some room to run away from it a bit. Like I said, I think we can get all the way up to 315 if we do breach 150 with some clean moves. So I'm going to look to see if we can get a pullback in any sort of way. Maybe Microsoft will pull back down into 412. We'll get a retest of this 100. And then if you break through that previous day high one more time, I would anticipate that that's when that real nice, powerful move comes in. Although we may not ever pull back. This could be the move where you just run away from it. 72% long on the tilt. Oh, I did not mean to click anything. Hopefully I didn't buy anything. We're good. Okay. Beautiful move straight to the upside. Microsoft pulled back to 412.50 and now is curling back up, looking to break that previous high once again at 413.09. So if it breaks 413.09, hits off on 413.10. The Microsoft move is to 414. There is some consolidation overhead. Maybe it doesn't get quite to 414. I mean, it'll get to 414 even. 415 would be the next level over that. So $2 upside. Stagnation currently, just because these names are fighting with their highs. NVIDIA made new highs of the day. Microsoft pulling back from the high of the day, but looking to break through it currently. If Microsoft breaks 413.09, then I think we can get NQ to kind of continue to run on up. If only I just did this on my XFA, it would be great, right? Let's see if this pulls back into that 100 and then rotates back through the previous day high, which would be nice. If I could fail this previous day high down to 100, that's another 15 points I can catch, which I might do. I think I want to do, but this may just come back, retest this, and then run from like 110. Let's see, we can short through 110 down to 100, take one off at 100. There's the pullback. That's actually pretty whippy. Wow, very quick. Could have sold it, and there it is. Like I said, that break of the previous day high right to 100. If you rotate back through this high, let's see what happens. There's the pullback to 100. I just don't want to get in front of this if it's going to get really heavy because that is another failure of the previous day high. We are very bullish though. So if Microsoft bounces from 412 back over 412, then this should rotate up. If you are a crude trader, the oil inventories comes out right now. Let's get a wick of 100 and rotate back through. I'll try and take one off quick. Get to even fast.
Order filled.
Get up, get up, get up. There's that breakout. Beautiful move there. I'm at even. See if we could take that one contract off and let the rest of it run. Get that one contract off. Get it. Get it. Get it. Tick it. One tick. There we go. So we got that first contract off on that break retest of that 100 level, looking to play the rest of this breakout. I am up 550. So we're going to see if we can tag off on that 170 on a break above. If we break above that high, I'll get up a little higher on the trail. But I think that we can now probably let this thing go. If it doesn't make a new high, then we're, going to be out at even. I'll trail a little bit higher just because I want to take that fees off. Now I'm going to see. I'm going to try and do my best to hold this. This is where my practice is coming in. This is with multiple contracts. It's easier for me to kind of work the multiple contracts than it is to work a single contract, trail it, be kind of very tight. So maybe I'm going to go back to micros for the rest of the week until I can get back to even. And then if I get back to even for micros, then probably just stick with them for a bit until I can build the buffer to get to multiple minis. If this fails then we're out, right? We're still up 600. We were able to take that one contract off, that explosive move. And now we're looking to see if this is going to fail and rotate down back the other way. I'm willing to continue to work my bias below 110. Could lead to selling, but we could get another buy side move here. So we got to wait and see. There it is. Does it breach 100 and does it rotate the other direction? Another failure of the previous day high, right? It's very interesting that it's failing that level again. Microsoft's still relatively strong, holding on the higher end of its little support up there. So I'm going to hold off, see if Microsoft picks a direction first before deciding on what I want to do over here. Basically trading those charts and allowing this to play out. To be up 6 on it, not too shabby. I've not taken a loser on this account after we just got wicked on every single trade. But talking through each idea here did make a lot of sense. If we can get back above this, I would like to go long one more time. Nope, still heavy. Microsoft looking like it wants to sell from 412.50. The 100 level getting touched again. Does it whip that 100 level and start to give really heavy sellers? Their buyer is stepping up here at 111. Oh no. Cancel that. I didn't want to do that. That was silly. Sometimes I lost $50 on that. Not trying to do that. If you hammer into something that you shouldn't, we probably would have made money on that because it's still heavy, but I'm not trying to do something I wasn't planning on doing. There's the failed break of the previous day high. 100 gave up. Microsoft selling. Nvidia selling. Trying to work on the hotkeys. And then when I flipped to clicking, it didn't work out. So to continue to work those levels. 100 got filled, bids getting hit, trying to hold that 100 level. Nvidia starting to bounce, Microsoft starting to bounce from 412. I think that there's one more leg to the high side again before we decide this. That was a nice sweep of that low. Do you snap this previous day high again and give you some momentum, or does it continue to roll over? That 100 level is very reactive currently. Like I said, that's the top end of that news candle, that first minute after the news. Really, the high end of the news was probably, I guess, there. But this is another nice looking rotation for another break of the previous day high to try and expand our zone. Microsoft looks bullish, looking like it wants to get over that 412 or 413.10. If it explodes out, then you're going to get that move that we want to see. Microsoft looking to break out. Here it goes. Microsoft broke out, so let's see if this goes to the high side. 413.10 just cracked. This should give you a nice little pop. If it doesn't, if it's going to be a break fail, then watch out below. That's interesting. It pulled back quickly. Failed breakout in Microsoft. Nvidia selling. I have both directions kind of covered here. If we could get through this level here, then down to low. I have the hotkeys ready to go. If Microsoft can reclaim that 413, then I would see this. It looks like it's accumulating for a momentum long. You can see, Scott, why I don't set it right to that level, because it usually just ticks it and rotates. I'd say there's bullish behavior going on currently. I'm going to work on my buy side momentum trades at some point. And S&P is holding that 55.47, which is still bullish as well. It's just the averages, man. I got as long as I can properly structure my stops, I'm able to take what I want out of the market. It's just realistically, like I said this morning, I just got trapped into a level that was trappy. I don't know. That just didn't work out. Timing wise, I guess. Should have waited for all the numbers to come out, then trade. That's just something to note. Do I hit a 4-day full max losing streak? I don't think so. So we'll be just fine if it happens, and we reset and keep working on these combines and get back into a good rhythm. See if we can break this high. It does not want to go.
Order
All
filled.
right, so we're in short, and I'm at even. I'm getting rid of these.
Order
I'm
filled.
out, even. Still want this limit sell here if this does end up being that trap. Quickly to even. Why are you worried about tomorrow? You're locked out today. You got nothing left to trade today. You just look forward to finding the next opportunity. And if it happens, it happens. Don't press it. There's no need to press that kind of, I need $300. Just take the trade that works. And then if it works, it works. If not, so be it. Like I have my loss limits, right? That $500 daily loss limit. Just yeah, it would be. It always sucks to have a bad day, right? It always like today sucks for me. I don't. Yesterday and today both, right? Just crappy price action for my opportunities, and unfortunately, didn't work out. But I'll move on to tomorrow, and I'll still have my account ready to go, and a couple good trades in a row, and I will be back in ready to go for pushing myself back into the green, digging out of the drawdown, and then moving on. Couple good days in a row. That's all it takes. I like the sell side pressure, but Microsoft's still yet to really give it up. This still looks like it's accumulating longs, although people are just smacking the bid here. My day sucks, Profit Trader. I max lost real quick. I have my personal daily loss limit at 530. It took a couple just paper cut losses here. Got wicked in, wicked out a couple times before actually getting the little bit of a wick that I wanted to get. And now I'm just working a combine that I've just been actually doing really well with. Feeling the flow of the market, kind of going with order flow, trading Microsoft and Nvidia charts, looking for failed breaks here, which looks like we probably might want to play this momentum to the upside. It seems like one of those days. So the fade trade did not work. It seems like each day so far has been a little bit expansionary. What's coming out at 10? Crude and gasoline and changes. Crude oil and gasoline stock changes. Nothing that's going to affect the S&Ps or the NQs. Not really, per se. Everything's kind of just flattened out now, but this does feel like it's getting to accumulate a bunch of orders around here. I drew up this blue box. This was the what's it called number? The service PMI number. I thought that came out in a negative light, but the market did not see it that way. So we popped to the upside. If we fail this number and start to rotate back down like we did here, but we failed to continue back through that number. So rotating back up seems very bullish for the markets. Microsoft still feels bullish, holding over that 412.50, 412.70 now. If it gets back over 413, then this thing probably continues to the upside. Nvidia does look a little heavy in retrospect to the, we are in a little bit of a lower basing pattern here. So if Nvidia does crack down through 108.50, then down to 108 probably comes in. So you're playing like a seesaw type action chop that you kind of don't want to necessarily play with. There's the seller, stepped right in. That 100 gave up, right? So that gave up. Now you're starting to see the rotation downside. I'm going to get rid of these. Still, this failed break to the previous day high. We do not want to expand, it seems, to the to previous day levels, right? So we're staying inside yesterday's inside day so far. Failed breakouts, and then this now actually giving up, right? This buyer was stepping in, and then rotated out. So they gave up. S&P's broke back down below overnight highs. We are still holding within that news candle there. It wasn't really like a super explosive move. I mean, yes, it went, from 50 to 100, so 50 points basically. It happened quickly and smooth. It wasn't one of those really wild algo whippy price actions. So now we are breaking down below that level again. So now we're going to start to see sellers step in. Let's see if they fail the overnight high again, or if we're going to start to use overnight highs as a support level. Yesterday we started to get range bound, so maybe this starts to form that range in this zone here. I want to see if Microsoft and Nvidia will start to create another level to bounce off of. Nvidia's in an area where it could bounce from that 108.20 level down to 108. Nvidia seems to like to be playing with, and Microsoft is trying to hold above 411 right now. So that's kind of another higher low technically if it stays here and holds. So we're going to look to see what we got going on with this, if this re-accepts back into this box, this zone, and if it cancels it out, or if we retest 80s again, could we short 80s? That's what I was talking about here. If this failed, retested 80 without that, this was showing me strength into 80, so I didn't like the short then. Obviously, you could see it. Now that we're back below that zone again, like I said, I thought that number was kind of weak, so we could potentially see this rotate down more. If we breach through this swing low, down to overnight highs probably comes into play, and then maybe we could find a bounce play at the overnight highs with VWAP acting as support as well. Microsoft breaking down, Nvidia breaking down. Let's see if this overnight high does anything. All right, so we're now back at that overnight high. See if we can flush through that overnight high and then rotate the other way. Although S&Ps have breached through their VWAP and now is trying to approach yesterday's lows. Never made it to yesterday's highs. So is it leading us to the downside? Microsoft's finding that support down by 410 again, and Nvidia is right at 108. So this is a good area for those two names to bounce. I want to see maybe another push through this overnight high, push into VWAP maybe, and then I'll probably try and take a buy through the overnight highs. I think that the short from that previous day high, this is our strategy, right? Working correctly here, right? This is right here. This is what I look for. I look for this kind of failed break, failed acceptance over a key structure level. Are we going to now accept into the range, or are we going to go back into the range we went to? So I like to see failure here, to get that full rotation back to VWAP. So the strategy here works, right? How did I execute on it? I'm up on it in this account. I never allowed myself in my funded account to get here, right? The funded account, we're down. I took 3 trades right here and got myself chopped a bit. So we locked out of that. And now we are into this combine here where we're trying to just kind of work some of the strategies a little bit more aggressively. You can see we're up 517 on the combine. I think we do get a little bit of a bounce here if we get a little bit more through. Yeah, I think that you could see that uptrend crack, right? This was that uptrend, 5 minute, 1 minute, 30 minute, whatever time frame you want to see it. This also broke out here. We do have down into this zone to see if it's going to break retest for the longs, which I don't necessarily trust. I think we can get into a range, right? Yeah, there's the selling. I think that's a good actual long idea. So we're going to buy 2. We'll take 1 off up here if that does break and bounce, because Microsoft and NVIDIA are both at areas of where they might want to buy. If it just flushes VWAP, then we'll never get filled anyway. And then I want this, take that first contract off right in that range there. Hold 19,000 for the time being. This would be a quick idea. This is just me working on some things potentially that I would not be trading in my XFAs. I'm just watching NVIDIA and Microsoft both at areas of interest for a turn. And yes, I'm risking a bit more on this. There's that snap to the downside. So still heavy. Did not stop out yet. Got a little slip there, right? I think I had my entry a little bit closer to that overnight high, but it's all right. We're still in this, still fair. See if I'll get my stop closer. I don't want to risk too much on it now that it's came back above the overnight high. If that fails, then I want to be out. There's that break above. I'm going to get to even there, see what happens with it, just because I don't trust this kind of bounce yet. There, we're stopped there. Good stop. Good trade management on that stop location. I think still Microsoft still looks heavy, and NVIDIA still looks heavy, so I wanted to just get myself out at even if I could, and I did. So that's always a positive. I think we could still rotate back up to that 30 mark. 20 would act as resistance. And S&Ps, if it's leading us today, is going to lead us downside. So we do have more downside pressure to go. And that once this VWAP gives it up, then you have down to this opening range. Then you got to just see what happens from there. We'll see what else sets up. In the short again from the overnight highs, I'm going to assume that's where you're short from, that 19,000-ish. If 19,000 fails to hold, then you will be good to go on that short. I like the buy above there, so we're going to fade each other. Actually, I'm going to limit sell 1. I will buy it if it confirms on a bar, my market, on the hotkeys. I'm working on my hotkey work here if it does want to go. Nope, there it goes. Microsoft broke the low. So there's your short. 19,000 gave up. Does it continue now? Let's see if it holds or if it's going to just be a snap and then a rotate the other way. NVIDIA broke 108 as well, which I find to be a key structure level for NVIDIA. Both of them just kind of lingering there. They're not really explosive moves down quite yet. There it is. That's the heaviness. Heaviness into VWAP. If you scalped it, there's the turn on Microsoft, the turn in NVIDIA. Got to get through that.
Order filled.
Yep, snap that out at even. Once again, just looking to see if I can get that even. I want it to break quickly with that move that I'm trying to play. We're going to go for it. We're going to go for it. We're going to let it play. There we go. Push. Push up. Huh. That was a snappy move. That was, if I could have got that contract off there, that's probably where I should have gotten it. Right above 20. I like that short. Oh, 5 minutes to the hour. I'm going to not trade. I'm going to let this thing dance a bit and then see where I go from here. You know, up 520 on this account. Can't be mad about that. Based on the kind of scalping trades that I've been taking. Couple break evens and a couple decent base hits. This is what happens when I start to scalp. I mean, I do well with it. I can see the market movements, the dynamics of it, and trying to get one contract off in when I'm trading multiple and then let that second one run. It just doesn't want to allow me to do it. Microsoft's holding 410. I really want to buy this again. But I want to wait till 10. I'm going to wait till 10. I like the hold of this overnight high. I like the way Microsoft's holding. I like the way Nvidia's holding 108. It's just not holding that way. So now that you passed the practice account, are you going to move on to the actual combine and get yourself funded so you can start taking payouts? I feel like that's the next step. Skin in the game, get yourself going, right? I know I want to wait till 10. I'm going to wait. This is the buy spot for me, though, like I was talking about. Breaking, retesting it, continuing up. Everything lined up with NVIDIA, Microsoft running into support. Good job. I like that. That's a good idea. 19,020. Yeah, I think it wants to wait for this 10 o'clock time frame as well. Dun, 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 dun. So today you kind of see we are still trying to stay rotational. I think that non-farm number tomorrow is looming. I don't really believe that they want to be below 19,000 for that non-farm number. I would expect us to try and stay playing with this number. You know, if it does, it does, right? We have all the way down to overnight lows, previous day lows. Could rotate all the way up to, you know, 19,300 before tomorrow and then start that bidding and start pressing us back up. But it's really kind of, I feel like they're maybe waiting for that number for tomorrow to try and make some good moves. We'll see what happens in the morning. Maybe I'll trade it. We'll see with the micro or something. See if we can make some money on it. I'll get up early. We'll get on the charts. Probably be here, what time? 7:30. I'll probably be on here at 7:15. Try and get myself into the focus of that. It's now 9:59. Will this be the true breakdown now? Microsoft being heavy. NVIDIA sitting on that support at 107.71. Could find support here. Could break right down through it. Short at 97 for Abby. The scalping queen here. I also like it, but it's very heavy short on the NQ. $10 here. If this finds support and tries to rally off of this level, then I will be long through the overnight high. Yeah, that was a really good trade there from 97. I still think that we are a bit heavy. If Microsoft can't recover 409.86, then down to 408.77 is that next area of interest for Microsoft. It is now getting heavier. Nvidia is getting heavier. So now we're starting to get sellers really stepping into this market. I do not want to have any of these out here right now. I think now we do get all of that selling that we liked. So this is what I talk about with the strategy, how it works on a day-to-day basis. If you can stick to it and allow it to work, this one here, it worked, but I just didn't allow it to work properly. Maybe needing to take that on, some days that'll wick and melt off quick. Some days it'll do what it did. Some days it'll just burn right through and we never get a chance to enter. This is worst case scenario where I got, my setup came more than one time where you're getting heavy wicks and you're starting to rotate down. This one here is the ultimate setup where you're looking at a previous day high, right? Where sellers stepped in, we never stepped past it. If you can't accept above this level, anticipate a full rotation back to VWAP, which is what we got there. And then ultimately you want to see if it'll retest previous day lows and overnight lows. So watch out for previous day lows, overnight lows for this type of setup here. So that's what I look for. I could have worked on it for this. I did get short here and I did get long here and I did get short here, trying to scalp a little bit. But just understanding the real dynamics of my strategy is this is the ultimate trade for this setup. So unfortunately, I didn't allow myself the opportunity to catch this in my XFA because I stopped out earlier, but kind of just reading through this price action, reading through what is going to move us out and above this. I thought that those non-farm of the inflation numbers that we just got were, and then jobless claims, like everything was a little bit negative. So realistically, for it to expand out and up kind of makes a little sense there, right? So we're now at overnight lows in the S&Ps, and we're at the opening range high for NQ. So that is areas to be interested in. It's a mixed bag type of day, right? Because I am up on this combine, I'm down on the XFA, but we are still working on making good decisions here. Is this still very heavy? You did get the full rotation out of S&Ps. We never made it to previous day highs in the S&Ps. So downside extension could be possible. Downside extension to 5,500 makes a lot of sense because that is a nice and even round number. I don't really have bigger, longer term levels on the S&Ps drawn out, but you can see, look at how much that is basing for a nice another leg to the downside. 54.34, 54.80s to the downside. S&P, if S&Ps can break through that low in that 30 minutes, that does feel like it wants to continue to push. Here's the strategy working on the S&Ps now, right? You can see failed break, failed extension, rotate back the other direction. You're not looking for giant moves necessarily. It would be great to catch this whole short. And realistically, if you could find the entry here and risk to say high of the day and you have the opportunity to kind of weather some of that storm, this is what you're looking for in that longer term, better setup for yourself. I've been very scalpy lately, so I would wait on the long. Let it set you up for a long, right? You're just kind of playing because it bounced instead of if you missed the bounce, wait for the next bounce, right? Don't just take a long just to cancel out that short that you took and got stopped out on. If there's a reason for you to be long, then I say go for it. But if there's not, you are running into some resistance here. have something that's repeatable, like a reason why you'd want to get in. I understand that it does feel like it wants to go long here. However, you could see the selling starting. And now Microsoft does have, a bit of movement here below 409. You could see this snap lower real quick and then come back up. Like the long could work, but find a better trade location or find a reason. All right, now we're an inside candle inside this one. If we break above this inside candle, then maybe you got a long idea right there, right? So if you break above the inside candle here, now you got the long above there, risking to the low of this candle. So there's a reason for that, right? But now you're getting very snappy, whippy behavior. So just understanding maybe, little tiny strat, even if you are looking for a strategy that's working for you, find that little bit that you can find where you can limit your risk. Find where that makes sense for a snap over these candles, right? If you are going super short term, right? I've developed my strategy for me, and it works for me, and it works. And obviously, Abby has her own thing that does for her, and Scott has his own thing, and we all have our own types of strategies here. Find a reason to limit your risk on a trade, right? I liked the long based on the failure of the overnight low and previous day low, finding that as support. I understand why you went long here, but I want you to understand why you went long here, not just because you lost on your short. Now let's flip long really quick, because then that's going to get you into click mode, and you're going to get in trouble that way. I'm more in the camp of we're going to stay rotational. Not necessarily long or short. I think basically long from the lows, short from the highs, staying within a tight range, which is not very tight. It's a few hundred points in the NQ. Providing you good opportunity to make good trades. It's just going to be over the course of longer period, right? Because if we go to the NQ longer chart here and we go to the 30-minute, you're going to see that how wide that is. Oop, there we go. See this is a 30-minute chart. So this is Tuesday, Wednesday, and now Thursday. We're staying within this range here between basically 19,155 and 18,839. So anything between there. You could also find support here right where we bounced from at 18,920 from this smaller consolidation on the overnight session. Then you had selling that kind of just continued. Now you have an explosive up move, just like yesterday. Explosive up move, grind down. Explosive up move. Are we grinding down? Are we going to go deeper, or are we just going to bounce from these locations as well? So thinking about it in a broader macro type, idea, then maybe it'll help you make some of these shorter term ideas work out a little bit better. I did like that retest of that 81. I think if we can get a wick into VWAP, then that short play comes, that idea for the short makes sense for you, right? You get a wick up into there, even into the overnight highs. You get that wick, then rotation back down through it. Then that gives you an opportunity to limit risk on the high side. With Microsoft running back towards 409.86, NVIDIA holding below 107.71, right? You could see both of these names, NVIDIA there holding below that dashed line, and Microsoft trying to creep over that. So that may lead to some more long. So if Microsoft can hold above that level, Oop, I never got to it. Microsoft there. Microsoft holding above that level. If Microsoft could be above 410, then potentially the long comes back in. We stay rotational. I'm going to try a quick scalpy short if we do get this.
Order filled.
I'm going to take one off down below at this wick low. And then see if I can carry that downside a little bit more. Nobody knows if it's going to go up or down or sideways, but I want to see if I can get this thing to at least sell from here where there's a little bit. See if we can get that first contract off. It did not want to get it. Did not want to get it. Ticked. There we go. Bottom ticked it. So we are now happy with that. I can only make... Oh, well, I have my thing set, so... Up just shy of 1,000 on the day with that scalp. I'll take another $70 to put me up over 800. Let's see if it sells from that level. Trying to be a little bit more aggressive on these moves, letting them happen. Kind of just talking through why I like them, right? I want to breach this wick low here. That's 60. If we could break and hold below there, I'll get my stop to 60. But we have seen a lot of interest at that area, so that's why I took that one contract off there. And now I've trailed that second contract just over that candle. So if we do get stopped out, I'm okay with it. I'm aggressive on this second trail. Or either just let it be at break even. Either way, it doesn't really matter, right? I'll try it again short in a little bit. There we go. A little snap of that level. It's probably going to come back up now and wick us out. I'm going to get tight with it. If we can get below 60, I'm going to get above it. Everything's heavy. I'm going to let it play. Microsoft's heavy. NVIDIA's heavy. We're holding below key structure levels. If I get snapped out for even, that's fine. I want to see, like I took off that first contract. I want to see if this will go down a bit more through 60s. If I can get through 60s, like I said, I'll move that stop down aggressively. I just don't have it at 60 yet. There it is. Trying my best to let it go with these multiple contract type trades. There's Microsoft snapped above that 409 and then snapped right down through it. So now we're going to get aggressive with this trail. That was a snap move. If it's going to snap us out, then it's going to go. If not, it's going to roll over. There we go. There we go. Nice push. Now we'll either hit my profit target for the day or stop me out. Does want to go lower. Okay, let's see if it hits my target or not. I talked about the wick into VWAP and then failing this 81 level for the short, right? That was my thought process on it. I think we still get heavy. I still feel like overnight lows wants to get tagged, especially with S&Ps trying to get this overnight low broken. There we go. Up about. And we hit our top daily profit target there. Up 1,524 on the combine. I will allow that type of rebound from the XFA, reading the market really well. Just kind of talking you through why each of these things happened, right? So if I kind of walk through my thought process, especially on this trade here on why I wanted to take it, I appreciate that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If we look at the entry here, right, S&Ps, if we watched all of the things that were going to lead us into this short. We ran into VWAP right there, right? So that's check one. You got a wick volume over a key structure level at 18,981, right? We came in, we've been very heavy. This would be the retest of a key structure zone. And if we were going to continue on, this is where it was going to stop. We did see the S&Ps right at that same time run into some resistance as well, start to fail, very heavy. It already made it to overnight lows where I want to get to on a full rotation, which is down here on the NQ. Then if we switch over to Microsoft, I told you that Microsoft did rotate down through this key structure level and then retested here. That retest right there allowed for me to say, okay, if it's going to continue on to the upside, this is the time and place where I would want to do that. You could see multiple rejections of this level at that same time period, as well as NVIDIA. NVIDIA broke down through the key structure level, and I'm getting notifications. NVIDIA broke down through the key structure level, retested that same level right there, 107.71, key structure, breakdown. Taking this with more than one contract allowed me the opportunity to be a little bit more, not risky, but be able to take one contract off at a key point where I think maybe we would wick and rotate out, which we did. We wicked it. We tried to come back up and just never got that full rotation back through, and then allow us to trail out as much as possible until we hit off on our daily profit target and flattened, right? So that actually worked out basically to a bottom tick of this move here, where I was pretty much anticipating that another area of resistance could come into play based on all of these here. So that's allowing confluence of a lot of different factors all at one time. Now that we also have had all of our data releases for the day, it kind of eliminated a lot of the choppy, whippy algo movement and gave us the opportunity to kind of just really take a trade setup that will work out. So moving forward through the rest of the week, the rest of the month, whatever, forever, I want to do my best to allow for, I want to do my best to allow for the choppy behaviors of all of this, the news releases. So tomorrow, like I said, I may come on for non-farm at 7:30 to just kind of watch what's happening before I go bring my son to school. I'll run the stream. I'll have everything ready to go around 7:20. We'll be, have the stream live. You can see the charts. We can see what kind of price action we had overnight, what kind of price action we're looking forward to having for the rest of the day. Non-farm is kind of that ignition starter. So if it's going to want to go long or want to go short for that day, we're going to get a really good bit of information from that non-farm number at 7:30 tomorrow. I'm really happy I reset that combine and decided to trade along with you guys here today after that garbage open that I did not allow myself to make money on that XFA. Still got the XFA, still good. We're in drawdown now, back-to-back losing days. Not very happy with those, but I'm not out of the woods yet. We're going to get back into it tomorrow and come on in and crush it. Just like Deck posted right there, small profits on a day is totally acceptable. $380 is not small profits, right? So what I'm going to look to do moving forward for the next few days, like I said, I am going to catch a couple days where I'm making what we just made here, 15, 2,000, 5,000, whatever. You're going to see those days grow. But taking those base hit days, $200 days, $200 days, $150 days, there's going to start to average out, and they're going to start to get bigger and bigger and bigger, because as you start to scale that account, grow that account, move towards payouts, you're going to start to see that maybe the size of the winner gets a little bit bigger, gets a little bit bigger, gets a little bit bigger. And that's when you start to get that exponential curve in your trading performance. And it's not necessarily because you're doing anything different. It's because you're doing everything exactly the same with good, clean mindset, right? I think today, like I said, I took the trades I wanted to take. I didn't overdo it. The only thing maybe I could have waited for was this support break that I took. I didn't draw that up until after I got locked out, but you could see this kind of overnight chop was really being supported around that area. And for the fact of that was that wick that I wanted to catch. Every time I got wicked in, this was the wick out instead of being in here and then rotating off, right? That was the, having my stops over 20 would have been making more sense. So tomorrow I'm going to move into micros just for non-farm, just for to finish off the week, get myself back into it. Once I'll switch over to the combine and we'll work the combine with multiple minis. You can see the power of multiple minis, right? It's not fives, it's not tens. I'm trading twos and I'm taking one off, taking and securing my profit, and then allowing that second one to dance around a little bit and move on me from even. So that's where I'm at my best. I really feel like multiple contracts is where I'm better. I think that's where a lot of people are better because they're able to kind of limit their risk by taking profit, partial profit, and then allowing the rest of the trade to work the way that they wanted it to work. It does make a huge difference. Trying to trade a single contract effectively gets you very choppy unless you're just going to take that quick hit. But the way my strategy works is, looking for stuff like this, I want to be able to allow that to the VWAP. That's when I'm at my best, I'm allowing this move to happen to the VWAP from my key structure levels. And then whatever happens beyond there, and it's gravy, right? Yeah, it is. It's very difficult. 100%. I think if you could definitely do one contract with the S&Ps and be able to trail a lot smoother because it's a lot more slow. It respects levels a lot better. You could limit into orders and get bounces, right? You can see the bounce here and it respected that low to a tick. Same thing here. It respected the low to a tick. And even these, if you waited for this to break and then come back through, you could have taken profits, 5-10 points, and been safe. And then when you get these breaks down from key structure levels, then they usually tend to follow through on the S&Ps more so than the NQ. The NQ will whip through levels and then snap back 30, 40 points. Just like Scott was trying to talk about before when he wanted that short. I wanted the short too up there. I wanted that short right here. And he said, okay, you limit in with a 5-point risk. I said 5 points in the NQ is not going to do it, right? This could still fail at 30, 40 points over and through. So you see right there, failure of 20. If you limit in 20, you're already on that same candle up 14 points away. And then eventually the high of it gets up to 50. So that's a 30-point manipulation. Yeah, 30-point manipulation up into that level. The 20s usually are reactive, and it is still correct. The idea and the thesis of your level is correct. The NQ is definitely zone based, right? It's not specific exact levels, although it is. If you can find them, it very much so is. Like right here, it was. Right here, it was. Down at the overnight high. These are levels you need to pay attention to, and then allow. NASDAQ's more of you got to let it kind of go and breathe on you for it to get bigger moves. But I'm very scalpy, very quick. We saw the way we were able to do it here, right? Get that confluence on all of the names, see what's happening in Microsoft, see what's happening in NVIDIA, and then run it into here on the combines. And then as you start to build buffer in the XFAs, you can start doing $400 a clip, whatever. If you want to go full $1,000 drop, that's 2 days of losers. Realistically, if I would have not locked out, I would have been back to even probably here and beyond, but I didn't. So buttons, we are locked out. We're sticking to our rules. We're not doing dumb shit. So we're now halfway funded in another combine, and we'll see what happens with this in the coming days. Not going to rush it. If I do hit off on that $1,500 goal, then I'll be happy, and we'll make another XFA, and we'll just copy trade across the tube and see where we can go from there. I think we will build that other one out of drawdown. I don't think I've done bad things with that account over the last 2 days. I think I've just kind of got caught in. There's that next leg to the downside, if you were wondering. That nice little push, right into opening range high. S&P's cracked and finally broke through that overnight low. So now we're trying to expand out of the overnights, expand out of yesterday's range, and the NQ has yet to catch up. So maybe the expansion out in the S&Ps down to 5,500 would be a likely round number, would be a good indication that this still tries to get and fully rotate from previous day high to previous day low, and then maybe expand and continue to the downside. So there's that trade working out still really nicely. Even if you went just short here and you just left your stop with VWAP, you're just fine, right? There's no, even with our normal strategy, right? If I were to have gotten to VWAP on an XFA and I'm still looking to milk a little more out of this, right? If I saw a VWAP break and I let my stop to VWAP and then used the structure to my advantage, I probably would have been trailed out down here, honestly. But you can see that rotation coming for the other end. So this is anticipated if you can understand the type of price action that we're looking for on the day. Microsoft failed that level. NVIDIA failed that level. We are rotating back to the other end of that range that I was talking about on that 30-minute range on my longer term chart. So we'll go 30-minute and I'll go right back to it. Talking about that rotation, I was talking about how we would rotate, between these two numbers, that 155, 117 to 155, down to 839 should be that next level of interest, which is now also overnight lows, which is just below the base of that, which would be 827, 825-ish. If it does crack that level down into 18,700, will be the next area where we'll start to look for this to come into, probably 750, before you start to see some rejection. So if it doesn't rotate again and stay rotational for non-farms, I would kind of anticipate, based on it being 1 to 3 days, spending most of the time down here, right, from 12:30, well, even let's call it from 10 a.m. on Tuesday all the way till now, we've stayed in this rotation. Does it give us another leg down? It is a low base from a move to the downside, so momentum is still carrying us down. But does it bounce, right? Does it bounce off of that? He's down here. This is the opening range low, so you could try along there. I don't know if that's going to be early, but it looks good for now. 878 is already up 10 points. I think we do get to overnight lows and previous day lows. Hasta mañana. You'll pass tomorrow and you'll be back funded and we'll start getting payouts for everybody. How about that? Let's start working on that. Seems like a good idea to me. So Scott, we're going to get you funded tomorrow. Don't go crazy before non-farm. You only need $300. Look for an A+ setup. Look for something that's going to come in. Non-farm comes in at 7:30. Just so you're aware, we do have news. It will pass you, but it also could totally obliterate you. So you better have a plan rolling into non-farm if you're going to trade it. I know you're tempted to after today's solid win. You only need 300. I'm going to be on, so if you want to just kind of listen to my analysis, maybe help you from doing dumb shit, because if we're out away from certain levels into certain zones, there's really nothing that you should be doing with the non-farm. Let it trade itself out, let it settle itself down, and then try and start to trade it. Because you are going to get super whippy action. You're going to get very wide spreads, and you're going to get a whole lot of slippage. So if you enter in at a place that's way off where you ended up wanting to be, and you're risking 400 and it immediately snaps back on you, now you're back another, $400 on that. Nothing that you can't make back, but at the end of the day, you're not going to want to deal with that on stuff that's not real price action. It's driven by algorithms. Get that mug and remind yourself, don't do dumb shit. Just look at it. I don't have it out today. I have my espresso cup. 10:30. Here's the euro close. We're about to get it. So watch what happens right at that. There it is. Let's see if this is going to give you a little snap from that euro close. It happens. I could see that happening. I do it too. That's why I have set rules in place where I try not to work when I'm at work. I try not to trade. It works. It does sometimes. Keep it going. I think we get to these levels here. We're so close to previous day lows and overnight lows, and the way that S&Ps has breached through, I think we do get to here. Yeah, we're not trading anymore today either. We have a mixed bag of emotions on the day. Right, the XFA is drawn down a little bit. I locked myself out at $500. This is maxed out on profit on this combine, so I'm both, right? I'm both happy about the executions. I've stuck to my plans. I did everything I wanted to do. Got wicked in, wicked out on my my combo on my XFA. Like I said, tomorrow with the XFAs, we're gonna go back to micros to build out of that drawdown, start to build the buffer, and get ourselves paid out on that XFA. And this one, we're gonna continue to rock two contracts. I'm aggressive on my XFA on my combines. If I can get to my setups, I will take them. And now that we started day one on this combine with halfway there, we can just do it again tomorrow, and we don't have to hit off on $1,500. We're just gonna one step at a time, just take our money and move on as we go. Obviously, $1,500 is the goal. If we could pass it in 2 days, fantastic. Be ready for Monday for more funded trading opportunities, and we'll be copy trading across two, and then we'll try and get another combine and another one and another one, as we just have each XFA just stack one on top of the other. All right, we're now pushing down towards that previous day low and that overnight low. Watch for reaction around here. See if we get a flush of this level. 5,500 broke. What did I talk about? All the way down to 54.34 for the S&Ps. Is a ways to go. 54.90, 54.80. All right. Very good rotation, right? From previous day high down to previous day lows, right? If you're somebody who just sets it and forgets it and has a stop above the high and has a profit target of previous day low, if you're going to be stubborn and not allow this, it could still hit this, but if you're not trailing out tight to this bottom, that's a crazy bit of trading, right? From 19,115 to 18,830, 840. That's a great move. Great clean move, rotational. You could see the type of price action that we were looking at here, where it started to get heavy. It looked like they wanted to get bid up again, but then you started to see Microsoft roll over. You started to see NVIDIA roll over. You started to see a lot of interest here. Then you started to see this break down. Once that 100 buyer gave up, then you see the rotation straight through this clean break of this news candle here. And then we're rotating back down through that zone and into previous day lows. And now that's where there would be an interest in a buyer. You can see it right here. We ticked off to the tick on my longer term chart here. 839, right? What was the low on that candle? The very low of that candle right there is 842. 839.50 is my support level. And you can see right there, we wicked, bounced. Like, is this going to be another bounce from this location? There's a good way for you to want to trail. I would want to have been either trailed out or very tight, or maybe, I mean, if you're willing to give back 100 points, that's on you. But that's a great trade from that high. Talked through kind of how you want to do it. I'm very quick. I'm very short time frame biased. This is the kind of move I want to catch. These are the types of moves that are going to make your account balance go a lot bigger. If you can find your entry and manage your risk based on your theories and your thesis for the day, let it work or not. And then if it gets stopped, so be it, right? And you just kind of, as it moves in your direction, you let it work. These are all 1 minute candles. So for it to work 1, 2, 3, 4, in 10 minutes, be down 100 points, then down another 100 points. This is from 9:30 to 10:30. It's 1 hour. You're making a couple hundred points. We'll call it 200 points. It's not quite. 100 to 19, 19 to 9. So it's almost 300 points. 250 points. $20 a point. Very nice bounce from the low. I don't have a level for NVIDIA to want to sell from. Maybe right here, right now. I mean, but up until 107, NVIDIA has from pre-market highs. Well, not high, but that's pre-market average price, pretty much. And then Microsoft also. Microsoft fanning does have down to 406.18, but has found some resistance here. I think just based on the bounce in the equities. I think we had a good day here. I think we talked about a lot of really good trades. I think everybody benefited, even if my XFA got locked out. Long here, tight stop. Long through 80. This is opening range. 1 minute opening range here. stopped out. This is a still continuation. I'm seeing heaviness in this market. There's not anything that's telling me that it's still going to pop to the high side. Um, the only thing that I can see is that Nvidia could pull up to 107, and it hasn't made it there yet. So could still be decent on that, but you'd have to let it breathe a little bit for that long to work, especially when you rotate right into opening range, that 1 minute opening range right there, which also is coinciding with that 7:30 news candle high, right? So you may run into resistance on that candle, but now you're level where. So if you're trying to take these quick scalps, long, short, are you looking at maybe some structure that's being created on the pullback, or are you just kind of going off breaks of 90? You got to find a key structure level, and less. I mean, momentum works, obviously, but find something to base that momentum off of, right? This break pullback, you were going to get some resistance in here. 18,009 is a round number. That's dead center middle of the opening range. So potentially wait for it to push in, then give you like some sort of wick tail, and then play that next momentum break. But it still seems like it wants to go downside. So I don't think that the long momentum is there. I think momentum is still to the downside. I think you're just playing reversal. Yeah. Yeah, you have to cut the losers quick, but you have to cut them around structure more so than just feel. If you're going off order flow, you might work better if you can use just the dome and the level twos, and then also time and sales. That'll help you a little bit more on the momentum side of kind of that quick momentum scalp trade. Maybe start looking at bookmap. Those things will tell you where there's some bigger order sizes. It'll let you kind of get into those scalp momentums, some iceberg orders and stuff like that. You'll be able to visualize it better because price action on charts is delayed slightly, right? It's not actually showing you the fills. It's showing you last executed price, obviously, but it's not giving you the whole picture. You're not seeing where all of the data. You could skip over 3 or 4 price points in a candle, right? This could just wick out and be done, and you can't see the full picture. So if you want to start doing what you're doing and be even more effective, I think more so level 2 data and time and sales are going to help you because that's what you're trying to do. Yeah. The orders, so the level 2s and the time and sales are actual orders. The charts are not going to show every single order because you're going to skip price points, right? You're going to start to see price is going to get filled. If I fill this all the way down to 1, we're filling at 87 quarters, 87 quarters, 88 quarters. So we just went from 87 quarters to 88 quarters. It jumped a whole point. And people will be like, "Oh man, it didn't show that on the chart because that's the last fill." And you're going to get slippage and stuff like that from those fills because you're not realizing that the chart is only going to display what you have it displaying, right? If it's last or average, because really it should be showing you the bid and ask and the spreads and stuff like that. So you're not going to get the full picture from just a candlestick. You can get the close and you can get some price information from the candles. And obviously we're looking for, we're using the charts to trade because it's visual and it helps. But the data is really the time and sales and the level 2s that are showing you actual order flow of what's on the book, who's playing, and where the levels are actually getting filled, right? Because we're skipping over a bunch of levels. You're not going tick, 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 tick. It's jumping point ticks, tick, tick, point, tick, tick, 2 points. It's just going where the fills are. S&Ps will be a little thicker, so it may go tick, 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 tick. You're not going to see it. The time of sales will be a little slower. The dome will move a little slower. You're not seeing iceberg orders on these books. You're not seeing where these are, so you're not really getting the full picture from a chart. I use these a lot, and I don't really mention it as much. That you'll see me like hammer in at a certain time, and I'll say it, based on a lot of confluences. One of those confluences is this order book and the time and sales and whatnot. I use time and sales. Yeah, I use time and sales, but I usually use it as block orders. That's why I set my filter to fives. I usually set it to, sometimes I set it to tens. I want to see when there's bigger size getting filled at specific price points. So that's what I use the time and sales for. If you can see it on the chart here, or just next to my head, this here is the time and sales. If you start to see when I have it set to tens, you'll start to see it flash with bigger size. That's when I know some bigger size is there. I will go down to the one just to see kind of what price is filling at specific times. However, I don't really necessarily care too much about like really the ones and the twos. Like that's just us trading. The fours, the fives, the bigger contracts I want to see. I want to see those guys getting filled, and that's when I know a bigger size gets filled on that. Yeah. So I watched this box here. I watched the dome over my head. I watched to see if I see any iceberg orders where I want to see price kind of get pulled to. So I'll look to see if there's any larger size sitting on the book, on the bid and the ask. If you switch the dome over to the S&Ps, you'll see much bigger size. You can see how thick this market is. You can see how much slower the time and sales moves. And you can see there's big block orders at these key levels, right? 600, 200. When you start to see these big block orders, 300s, 200s, you're not going to see those big ones. If you pay for the data, you will get it. You got to pay $35 a month from Top Step, and they'll give you the level 2 data. 35, 39, one of those. It's anywhere. It's like right around $40. But you can see, look at the sizes on the S&P. There's 300 contracts there. If you start to see more, 830, there's a big block order sitting at 54.96. 54.96. We did not break that point. People front ran that large order. So I'm looking at some of those things to kind of play off of. And I may start to look at both domes at the same time. No, level 2s are not free with any platform, any broker. If you do your own personal account, if you do any funding accounts, you always have to pay for level 2 data because that is something that comes directly from the exchange. The level 2 data is something that will show you all the full depth of market in the order books. You will not get this. You'll usually with level 1, you'll only get the closest bid and ask. So you'll either get 1 or 5 levels. You're not going to get 100 levels deep, right? S&Ps gives you a bit more on the levels than the NQ. I think you're going to get chopped up here. I don't think it's actually working. I think the momentum is still downside. This is a wick off candle here. There is an iceberg order, like I said, at 96 on the S&Ps. So if it does break through that 96, you may see that downside pressure continue. Then there's a lot of orders stacked on the bid below it. So it could work based on the S&Ps having that big order block sitting at 96. So the S&Ps might drag it. NQ, I don't see large iceberg orders sitting here at all. You can see larger sizes getting filled on the ask. You just kind of watch these level 2s. You can see now you get bigger. The red numbers clearly mean that it's going to be hitting below the bid, right? Red indicates orders that are taken at or below bid price, which is bearish. Green indicates orders that were taken at or above the ask. So if these are buyers and these are sellers, that's really what it comes down to. You took 5 contracts. on that. Oh, God, that would be a lot. Yeah. $1,000 on 5 contracts. Absolutely. 10, 20 points. It's a very snappy. You got to be very quick with those. That's why I think the hotkeys would work. It would work better. If you're on NinjaTrader, I think NinjaTrader does have a better hotkey functionality where you can move past break even, past, up into profit. They still don't have that hotkey function where you can move past. It's buy, sell, join bid, join ask, reverse, close, cancel, flatten, hide volume profile, center on the last price, add and remove contract size, and then break even. So I only have these set. This is temporary deactivation. Personal daily profit target was hit. If you're new to the stream, Top Step X allows you to lock out your settings here, so it's good. If you have, this is where this looks like it might be a higher low now, looking like the bids are starting to stack up for buyers. So this is where it wants to go up from. NVIDIA is starting to buy up, and Microsoft now starting to buy up. So that is your confluence to add to that momentum play. If it breaks through 900, that's where you'll start to see that actual momentum. I think 900, we have 20 guys sitting on the ask. As you push up, if you can break through that structure, that's where you'll get that pop. Even down here, this was a break through that opening range low, that 1 minute opening range low. So if you can snap through 900 now, you should be able to get a nice little pop through the high. If not, a failed rotation back again the other direction. Very tight, hard to trade. I mean, if you're very good at just trading these really, really tight zones, then good. But overall, like I said, I think we had a good day. I traded well for the entire day. I did poorly in my XFA and locked it out early and then just started on. Practice with 10x speed. Not sure what that means, but hopefully it's good. NVIDIA is still creeping up. Microsoft's flat. What do you just have like a replay playing? Oh, you do playback. Got you. I don't ever test on any of those platforms anymore, playback or anything like that. But it definitely makes sense. I will watch back my trading day on a video if there was something that I think I missed. But today, I think realistically, this was very indicative of a failed breakout. That kind of candle, if I got that candle there any day of the week, got to short that, right? Huge move through 20, failed 20, snap me in, and then snap me out on the next little move, like in one immediately, and then fail it. So that was where I was really looking for that short. Everything here told me we're going to get the failed overnight high break, which we did end up getting. And I just got myself stopped on this candle here before this rotated down and finally would have made my money. It just tells you how wrong or right you are because of your thought process is right. Then it should work with all the speeds in the market. Yeah, absolutely. That's true. One day you're going to get back into the combine and you're going to be better off for all the work that you put in on these practice counts. Get yourself back in, get yourself funded, and start taking big payouts. Start with small payouts and then work your way to big payouts. I am all but done for the day. I do have work today. It's my Monday. We will be back here tomorrow morning. I am going to start early tomorrow. I'm going to be on for non-farm. I think that's going to be a good opportunity to kind of show you guys a little bit of the news trading, how that real big event-driven data algos. I want to show you the time in sales. I want to show you how the dome reacts within a couple minutes of that release, and then kind of go from there and allow you to kind of see what happens at that time. So I'm going to come in. I'll be on at like 7:20 tomorrow, 7:15, 7:20. I got to go bring my son to school, but that'll be I'll show you the open, show you that 7:30 time, and then I'll cut out and come back on and leave that stream running so you can kind of see how that price action works through that number, and then where we may go if we're going to start to ignite that out of this range bound trade from today. Since Tuesday, I think we'll stay range bound potentially. If it does break down and break out of this and continue downside, that's not surprising. I don't know if we have enough juice to push us up and through previous day highs. If we do, watch out for 19.2 and 19.3 as upside potential for the day. But just overall, like I said, another good day. We out here just providing as much value as possible within these levels, allowing our levels to work. Like I said, my XFA is drawn down a bit, but the combine, we made it very good call outs, good opportunities, good execution. So tomorrow we'll come back out, just try to be more precise with executions, and then try and teach a little bit about that non-farm. So until tomorrow, I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.